Hi everyone, Ashlyn Giza YouTube channel. So today we're going to talk about my weekend camping. So I went with my husband and my kids, and we didn't invite any friends, but my husband's parents came out camping with us and stuff like that, and they stayed for maybe like 3 hours, and then they left. But we went fishing. We didn't have any luck or anything like that, but we did have luck with getting the fire started and cooking really good food and telling ghost stories. So that's what made me and inspired me to want to talk about camping this weekend. So we were going around taking turns telling like scary stories and stuff like that, or like stories that we've heard before on the news, or like it's just from like Scary Spooky Sunday or Spooky Scary Sunday. Sorry, I messed it up. From Corey Kenshin, and just different things like that we are doing. And so my son told a couple stories from Corey Kenshin that he saw. I told like a couple childhood stories. Like there's this time when like I was running up the steps. I think everybody's kind of had this feeling before, but I was running up the steps and I felt like something was chasing me. And then my sister, this is at my grandparents' house, and then my sister had messaged me just like recently, actually, like 2 weeks ago, telling me that she had a dream about my grandma's house, and how every time she thinks about my grandma's house or like remembers something from there, she feels that it was like there was a bad entity there or something. So that was kind of freaky, like having that feeling when I was a young child, and then growing up, and then like years later, recently especially, finding out that my sister had like dreams and like feelings that my grandmother's house didn't have such a good entity in it. But anyways, fast forwarding to more of the ghost stories, my husband tells a story about how him and his friends went camping one time, and his friend was acting kind of funny and stuff like that. Like they heard like kind of weird noises in the woods. And then after that, his friend just so happened to be acting really weird in the woods. So then after that, I told my story and I said, okay, I'm going to tell you guys a story, but it's a true story, but it's fitting for like camping, because here we are camping and you never know what's going to happen. So, mind you, I'm not telling this at all in like a mean way to my kids or my husband or anything like that. I'm just telling this story because it's a true story and it's a scary story, um, and stuff like that. So, I said there's this family in maquoketa Caves in Iowa that got killed, and lo and behold, they were camping just like we are, and this crazy person with really no motive, not that someone has to have a reason to kill people, but this guy with like no motive, like didn't know the family or anything like that, really just decided to kill them. And I read online that one of them survived. And so I told my kids that, I said, so keep your one eye opened and be, vigilant while we're here at the camp park, because you really never know, excuse me, what is going to happen to you or who you're around. And so I said, but that's based on a true story. And so then fast forward to later on, like in the evening and the next day too, we're like trying to pay the DNR officer, the ranger officer that's driving around the campsite, to collect payment and just like to protect everybody and check on everybody. And like we're paying him with a credit card, and like he told us that it wasn't our credit card declining, it he just has been having problems with taking people's payment via credit card. So what we did was paid him what we had in cash because we don't really carry cash. We just do the credit card thing. And that's kind of like an obviously new age thing. You don't really want to carry a lot of cash because, again, somebody could rob you and then there goes your cash. But with the credit card, if someone does fraud, you can always get your money back because if you bank, then yeah, your money is insured. So, anyways, we gave them what we had in cash, which was $10, and then the remaining we owed was 6. So we said, "Oh, I'll just come back tomorrow and try it again. If all else fails, you guys can go to a gas station right up the road, and at the ATM, and then just drop it off at the payment center up front." So the next day, because the credit card thing still wasn't working, the next day my husband drove to the quick shop or whatever it's called down the road, and we got the money out of the ATM, went back to the campsite, kind of drove around a little bit to find the guy, and we found him, pulled over, speaking with somebody else who was at the campsite, at the campground. And then when he was done, he came over to my husband, and my husband's like, "Yeah, I'm just wanting to pay the rest of the money." So, and then he goes, "Okay, well, you can fill out the form and then drop it off at the drop box up there." And then him and my husband were talking. I don't really know what exactly they were saying to each other because I was in the car. I was kind of just watching them. But I guess my husband got in the car, and I guess supposedly the guy was just like talking about how he understands how the campsites can get kind of rowdy nowadays, and that he had to pull somebody over the other night because they were coming in and out of the campground past the campground hours. Because if you're not camping at this specific place past 10 o'clock, you can't come in. You're not supposed to be. So he had to hunt this person down, and lo and behold, he found out that they were actually camping there. They just had to leave real quick to get something and come back. So that ended up being okay. But then he tells my husband other stories about how he had to chase the guy out of here, out of the campground before, and how people have sped through the campground. They like speeding and just people drinking and leaving their beer cans around and all that. And then fast forward, he actually goes on to tell my husband that he was neighbors with the maquoketa cave people that got murdered. So that's just a really weird coincidence, is what most people like to call it. That they were neighbors, and that we're talking to the guy that lived right by the people that got murdered, and how I just brought it up. So I don't think it was quite a coincidence. I feel it was something that I was probably picking up on because, like, usually when we tell ghost stories at the campsite when we're camping, I don't tell stories that are based, like, I don't tell things that are based off true stories normally. Normally, I don't pick stories that are true stories. I pick, um, fake, I make up my own ghost story, or if it is a true story, I'll tell something that happened to me. I won't really talk about anybody else's true stories or like scary stories that happened to them. But for some reason that night, I just something I think it's just because, like I said, we are camping, so I think that triggered me to want to talk about them. But it's just, it was very strange, and it was, I mean, what are the odds and the chances of us actually talking to the guy who lived by the right by those peoples and being neighbor with the people that got murdered. But yes, if you guys don't know what happened to them, you can look it up online and find out about the murder that happened in maquoketa Caves campsite and campground, or maquoketa Caves murder. Very sad, very tragic. They It should be like on Google or on the website. It was on the public news. Rest in peace to the family and stuff like that. And I, whenever I hear a story like that or anything like that, I always feel, of course, horrible for the family and hope that they come to peace and that they, get all the rest and peace and prayers and love and everything and support that they can get because after a family member passes away, especially in such a way like that, like murder or anything like that, there's really nothing anybody else can say or do to make it things better. So I just wish them well and the best. So, but I wanted to talk to you guys about how, if you're camping and stuff like that, be prepared, take everything that you need. Recheck everything before you go camping, and also to make sure that you bring protection, whether it be your gun if you have a license to carry, pocket knife, pepper spray, anything like that to protect yourself because really you do never know. You do not know. You never know what's going to happen to you, and something like that could happen. I mean, pretty rare here in Iowa, anyways, at a campsite for that to happen. But I mean, look at the movies, Friday the 13th, all that. You never know. So people out there can just snap, and it's a crazy world. But I thought it was really neat. I felt like maybe the neighbors that he was friends with, I think maybe they were like wanting to say hi to him or let them know that they were around and that they were proud of him for being officer ranger that now protects families at campgrounds. So it was really cool that it somewhat an inspiration for him. So because that's what he told my husband, that he protects the campground and makes sure that everything's okay, and that the people that got murdered in Maquoketa Caves campground were his neighbors. So it was awesome that and positive to find out that that was an inspiration. Like, really sucky way to get inspired, but like taking something so negative and sad and turning it into something really good. So um, it it was cool. We had fun. Enjoy camping out there. It's the summer days now, so time to go out there and do that. Just be safe. Don't forget anything. And I'm sending everybody love, and I will be on with another life topic. Thank you.